Hello, welcome to my channel Conscious Growing. I'm Matthias, and today I want to talk about a very important topic. When you are on your recovery journey, this is one of the keystones I want to share here. And I made some similar ones in the past, and I find it really important to point it out. So, what do I mean? As we all know, this journey of recovery from chronic symptoms, anxiety, is not a quick fix. And we experience lots of ups and downs for a good reason, because in the past we had coping mechanisms, avoidance mechanisms, trying to escape from uncomfortable feelings, and so on and so on. And I want to make it very clear, and of course this is my personal experience and my perspective, that when we have chronic symptoms, it's always a sign that there are suppressed emotions. You don't get chronic symptoms out of the blue. I mean, they can appear out of the blue, and it can feel like that they are coming out of the blue. That's for sure, but as far as I see it and feel it, it came for a reason. And I made lots of videos about it. And I also made a few similar videos like this one. But what I want to share here is just to understand that when there are symptoms in this body, when there are pains in this body, when there are anxiety symptoms, when there's lots of adrenaline in the system, stress chemicals, they can cause pains and they can cause weird symptoms. And as I said, in the past we might have tried to avoid them, not to feel them, escaping, all these kind of things. And now they are so much in front of us, and they are so present, and there's no way to escape anymore. You might try it, but it didn't work anymore. And it takes quite a while to understand that there's no way to fix them. There's no way to get rid of them. And there might be some techniques and they can calm something down, but I think the root cause is these suppressed emotions. So what can we do? And there are many, many, many offers out there. And I would say, if you are trying to find help from outside, and there are many offers, it might take you a while to understand that the only one who can go through this is you. And so what happens, I would say, when you once started to discover yourself, when you once started to see your momentary patterns, when you start to face your fears, when you start to work on these emotions and to allow them, then there are some waves that come like in periods, and there might be a period where you have a couple of intense days, and then you might have a few better days, and then you might have um, a quite okay day, and then all of a sudden it gets worse again. And then very often we don't understand what's going on because we think, oh, it gets worse and we're back to square one and all these things. And I've spoken about this a lot in the last videos. But what I want to share specifically here is sometimes when there's a huge storm, and I call it a storm, and if you're dealing with anxiety and chronic symptoms, you exactly know what I'm talking about. And when this storm comes, sometimes there's no other choice other than to fully accept it, fully to allow it to be there, to allow the despair, to allow the fear, and maybe the anger and rage, all kind of frustrations. You might feel yourself absolutely hopeless. And these strong waves are the most important moments in recovery, because here it decides which way are you going. And the paradox is that in these moments, when you are able not to try to get rid of them, when you are not trying to find any solution, when you're just there with these unpleasant sensations and you just allow them to go through you. And I was talking in other videos to how you can do it, because there's one attitude you want to establish, and this is to allow it to happen is one thing. This is a mental thing, but it has also a physical aspect. So in other words, you can see and try, if you are able to sink into these symptoms, to dive through these symptoms, to also try to allow your body to, I don't want to use the word relax, but maybe you can use the word sag. So your shoulders can sag, your arms can sag, your entire body can sag. So when you are able to do this constantly, whenever you feel, when you have unpleasant sensations, then with time, here is a symptom that's coming, bumping in your system, and there is your attitude of, okay, I'm start to open up for it. And this is a message of safety, because usually the response is holding the muscles, tensing up the muscles. And then we end up in this vicious cycle, because our physical response to the symptoms is more tension, and then of course more suffering, more intrusive thoughts, and so on and so on, and then unpleasant feelings, and then you hardly can bear it. And to reverse this, we start to do the opposite. And on one hand, it's this physical aspect, and then it's this mental aspect of, okay, I allow the storm to wash over me. And here's one very important thing, the most important thing I would say, is when it happens to you and when the storm, so to speak, is really strong, you don't want to distract yourself, you don't want to run away from it, you want to go towards the storm. And you want to face these sensations. But here's the key. You don't need to work it out mentally, because the mind wants to find solutions. The mind is there to offer you all kinds of solutions. But this mind is the very cause of all the troubles we have ended up. So, in other words, don't trust these thoughts and don't trust this voice, the voice that wants to escape. You want to do the opposite. You go towards the storm, and what you're doing is you're just feeling the sensations and the emotions. And to describe it more practically, it can mean you are just the observer of that what's going on. And here's the point. When the physical sensations are the thing that is in the foreground, then you just be with the sensations. You just feel the physical sensations. Then later on, or in other occasions, it might be different. It might be that you have a very strong emotion. Let's use the example of rage. You feel lots of rage, lots of old rage. And instead of trying to get rid of anything, you're just with the rage. And you can even forget about, you don't need to like your rage. You don't need to like these sensations. There's no need. Acceptance doesn't mean I have to like it. Not at all. But the subtle difference is that when you are able, when you are in the storm, you go towards the storm, you feel, and then for this example, you feel the rage. Just the rage. So what's happening is you allow these unpleasant sensations, maybe for the first time in your life. And if you practice this, you usually experience some relief. And more than that, because the stronger the storms, the more you can learn and the more resilience you will build up. Yeah, you might, I guess you understand what I mean, because at a certain point you might have moderate sensations and moderate anxiety. And it doesn't feel nice, but you're more or less able to deal with it. But then on these days when it really comes intense, then usually we pull back and then we start to check YouTube and trying to find any solution from outside, trying to get some helpful video, whatever it might be. But if you can say, okay, I just leave everything aside, I just decide, and the decision itself, the willingness to meet it, this is empowerment. So you don't go into the storm and with this attitude, oh, hopefully the storm will pass. No, you do the opposite. You say, yes, let the storm be as strong as it wants to be. I'm ready to face it. I'm ready to experience it. I'm willing to experience it. Because this is the most powerful message you can give to yourself, to your subconscious in this moment. Because then your subconscious will say, okay, wait a minute, what's happening with Matthias? He is all these months and these years before, he was running away, he was distracting himself, he was always trying to fix this whole thing, and now he's staying in the fire, so to speak, and he's saying, okay, come. And he really means it. He's not escaping, he's ready to go through the storm. And I can share that when I did this and it wasn't solved only in one storm. There were quite a few storms, but the more you get used to face these storms, these unpleasant sensations, these adrenaline rushes, whatever it is for you, these pains, remember, this is just old energies, old fears, old dramas, old emotion that weren't allowed to express. So now it's a time, and it's just an energetical sensation. You're not in danger. There is no danger. Even these storms, even if they feel real, and even if they feel terrifying, and they do feel terrifying, but they can't do you any harm. It's just unpleasant because we build up so much resistance. And the resistance is a problem, not these sensations. Because if you can say, okay, be here as long as you like, then you empower yourself. And then this monster, as it feels in the beginning, isn't such a monster anymore. It just feels so. And you can have some bumpy rides, for sure. But with practice and with time, you're getting used to it. And then symptoms will reduce, because this is the strongest message you can give to your brain, because you stay put, you allow everything to happen. And to say it once again, the main thing is the willingness to let it happen. And this can also mean when you decide to go out. And maybe you are kind of coping and hoping that everything will be right, hoping that the symptoms will not get worse. But if you have this mindset, this whole thing is still based on fear, a fearful attitude, hopefully. But if you say, I go out no matter what, if I go to this restaurant today, and if I get a panic attack there, or I get some anxiety symptoms, or my symptoms flare up, whatever it is, if you have the willingness to do it, and this is your mindset, and with this mindset you do it, it's something else than, oh, I hope it will work. And I share this because this is the transformation that needs to happen, but this needs some time. It's not happening from one day to the other. Yeah, some call it indifference, a different attitude, but you don't get to indifferent from one day to the other, as I said. But the more you experience that when you have the willingness to experience symptoms and you do the things you want to do anyway, this builds up strength and you get your power back. You get your power back when you go through the storms. And what is the nature of a storm? The nature of a storm is it's wild, it has its peak, there's strong energies, but every storm ends. Always. And so it's the same for us. If we have a peak of symptoms, it always goes down. But we can't directly influence a storm. When a storm comes, a storm comes. You can try everything. You can meditate, you can do everything. When the storm comes and the storm is there to test you, you have to face the storm, and you have to be the storm with the storm, and stay as long as the storm is. And if the storm is there for a couple of days, then we have to accept it in the best of our abilities to meet this storm. and to be in the storm. But we have to understand we are not the victim. It's not the storm that takes us over. We stay present in the storm. And the most important thing is we decide to feel it. In this moment we're in the storm, we just say, okay, I feel this storm. I feel it going through me. And I allow it. I just feel it. You don't need this one here. No, he can't help you. He will never find a solution. He will also only bring you down to your rabbit holes, back to the rabbit holes. This is the only solution the ego can offer. So feel it, allow it, face it, and go through the storm. And make the experience when you went through these storms, the next day or 2 days later, you feel a relief. You feel that there's something happened in you. You feel lighter. And you have to go through it. There's no other way. We think there are some techniques, some teachers out there, but you are able to go through it. You just watch your resistance. And yeah, we heard it many times, what you resist persists. It's a phrase, yes, and it's true. And the only one can answer this question, is there still resistance? The only one who can answer this is you. And you can observe your resistance and you can say, okay, when you feel resistance, you can decide to feel the resistance, to allow the resistance. I'm with my resistance, I feel it. I allow the resistance to be there. And this is the opposite of trying to get rid of or running away from it. And now that this sounds very simple, and it is simple, but of course we have to train and practice. And it's like there is something we want to avoid, we don't want to have it, and then we slowly move a little bit closer, and then we are practicing this, and then the periods and the possibilities to be with it, they get longer, and this builds up some trust in us. And that the main message is, it feels unpleasant, but it's not dangerous. It's just stress chemicals in the body. That's all it is in the end. And if we show our system, we will experience that the more we are able to face it, symptoms will go down with time. Because there is no need anymore. Because if you don't run away, if you don't avoid, and also if you don't get entangled with thoughts, because you decide just to feel it, not trying to solve it mentally, what is left? We are taking away the energy from the symptoms and the old emotions. And then with time they realize there's no use anymore. This person is able to feel it. This person is able to face it. But this person is also able not to give it too much attention. And this takes all the fuel. And then at a certain point, it just dries out. And you feel yourself again. The fight or flight is over. The freeze is over. You're just here in this moment, feeling, breathing, connecting with people, connecting with what you're doing in this moment. It breaks all down to this, and then you're just a human being and you have choices in all directions from there. Because the storm can't do you any harm anymore, because if you have gone through a few, you realize nothing can happen. Unpleasant, yes, but that's all. And this will happen sooner or later if you are able to use these advices. And I hate to say it, like, do it like how I tell you. If you do it like how I tell you, then you will get better. But this is what I deeply believe. And I experienced that all kind of complex techniques and programs, they can cause the opposite. They can cause a prolonged process, because then because when you're doing a program, and if you have a plan along your day and tasks, then you're still stressing yourself. You continue to stress because you always think, I have to do it right, I have to, oh, today I forgot my meditation, will it stop me from processing, will it stop me from recovery? And then we are caught up in these old patterns. And this is a shortcut, really unpleasant, but it can give the greatest freedom, and it can give you yourself back. You're the one who is not attached to anything, just present, pure being. And in the process itself, it's never black and white, because you can have a period where you have gone through a big storm, let's say, and then afterwards you feel this relief, and then you have a few better days. But there are setbacks as long as you lost all your fear. When you lost all your fear, when you are able to say any moment, okay, any storm can come, it doesn't matter where I am, I'm living my life, I'm doing the things I want to do, it can happen. And even if I had any sensations for half a year, if it would come back, I would be able to face it in this manner. And then you are free, because you are not ruled by the symptoms anymore. You're not ruled by the anxiety, by the sensations. You just say, okay, they can come. I survived 5 storms, 10 storms, 20 storms, however many you needed, but it doesn't matter. And we don't need to compare ourselves with anyone else. Everybody does it in its own speed, because again, it all breaks down to one thing. Our subconscious, our limbic brain, try to protect us. That's his job. And the other thing, it became overprotective with time. And we teach that there's no protection needed anymore. And when we're on this path, and we give our lives a new direction, as I just described, then of course in the beginning the subconscious will produce bigger waves, more symptoms, new symptoms maybe. Expect everything, but don't be caught up by this illusion that, for example, when you get new symptoms, it's not a setback. It's just a sign of progress, because the subconscious still tries to protect us, and it's a smart part of the brain. Very creative, not very clever, not smart, but in a way of it will find new ways to test you. Expect this, and when you can expect this, then you're kind of prepared. Still, when you're in the storm, it's not fun, and it always feels terrible. I know this, but if you understand these mechanisms, and if you understand how it works, and you understand it's not dangerous, and that these setbacks are expected, then you are, and you know that it's only a hypersensitive nervous system, then you have all the knowledge you need. And now it's just on you to have this willingness to face these symptoms. That's all. That's all. And then you build an attitude of, okay, it comes, and I might have a couple of nice hours, and then it might come out of nowhere. This is its nature. It comes when you don't expect it. But you can say, okay, however you like, how much you like, I'm ready. And this is power. And you are stronger. You are always stronger. The subconscious is just a shadow. It's just a shadow of the past. It's just old useless stuff on your computer. We don't need it anymore. It's just acting itself out. And we just allow it to say, okay, do what you like, how much you like, how long, however you like. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop here. I thought I'd make a short video, but I see it's another long one, but it's really important to repeat the message, because if the brain is tired and nervous, it needs repetition. So what I am doing here, you can learn to do it for yourself. So you give your recovery a new direction of self-empowerment, and you can use this video and other videos to bring yourself back on track and use these repetitions of the new response, because that's all that it is, a new response. So we don't respond with fear anymore, or at least with less fear, with less freak out, and we kind of turn the coin and say, okay, I'm able to face it. And that's a huge step. And the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And the storms will end up earlier, because then the storm comes and it sees, oh look, I can't convince him anymore, and I have no power anymore, so okay, forget about it, and then you are back to your life. This is how it works. So yeah, I hope you find this helpful, and I always like some comments and some support, of course. So if you find this helpful, send it to someone who might need this message today, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. And if you have the feeling you might get something out of it and you're interested in some personal one-to-one help, then I'm really open to support you on this journey. And you can check my webpage. I have to say, it's for the moment it's still just in German, but you can use Google Translate or anything. And what I can say is I can offer a 30-minute free call. We can talk, we can have a light on your situation and your struggles, and then we can see if we find a foundation of some work together and some help. And it can be very personal, of course. There are no rules. And so if you're curious about this, you can contact me at any time. And yeah, I wish you well and trust that you can go through any storm. You are the only one, and you will make it. So see you soon. Bye for now.